Welcome to the July 8th, 2020 edition of the UL Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, A Seat at the Table, Black Male Edition. My name is Kenneth L. Johnson. I'm your host and president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. A big piece of the work we do here at the Urban League's Job Network Digital Career Success Series is not only bring you leaders and subject matter experts on the topic of career success, but we also like to make you aware of some of the amazing Black professionals that are doing some incredible work out here in the industry. I was introduced to the work of our guest today while searching for the perfect individual to frame a panel discussion that my firm, East Coast Executives, was hosting on the future of work for Black men in America. This was based on the results of a McKinsey & Company survey that stated that Black males would be the most negatively impacted by AI and automation. My search led me to Mr. Mark Hall through an article he had contributed on the Forbes platform regarding the results of this study. We connected, shared a conversation, and immediately I knew that he was the perfect guest to also deliver this segment on the Digital Career Success Series. Join us today in welcoming Mr. Mark Hall to the program. Mark, thanks for joining us today, sir.
Absolutely. Excited to be here, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. So if you don't mind, please introduce yourself, start your presentation. Let's go. I'm excited. I know you got a bunch of stuff to share. I'm going to move out the way and let you go, my friend.
I really appreciate that. First off, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody on the live stream, and depending on where and when you're watching this. Excited to be here and looking forward to jumping into some Q&A. Before we do that, I want to lay the foundation for a few facts and ideas and strategies that hopefully will make the discussion a little more meaningful. I'll do my best to keep this presentation brief, and at the end, I'll actually show you where you can get a copy of the presentation if any of this is of interest. So let's jump into it. So here are a few of the things we're going to cover. I'll give you a little background on myself, set the stage with some facts, talk about how you should think about your career, some strategies that might provide some success along your journey, and then we'll wrap up with a summary and closing. Before we jump into a quick disclaimer, I'm not here representing any company or organization. These are all my own opinions, and if any of this information is useful to you, I really hope you take advantage of it and use it to your benefit. So quick introduction on me. Regarding my career, I currently lead partnership efforts for West Coast-based venture capital firms and startups that want to work with Google. Prior to this, I've spent time in sales management and other roles. The key arc of this is throughout my career, I've had a ton of setbacks, successes, changes of course, you name it. Been in management, been an individual contributor, and I've learned a ton, both from my experiences, but also experiences of my peers and colleagues. Hopefully a lot of what we talk about today will resonate and you can use it to your success. Beyond that, I also write for Forbes, as Ken mentioned, and I've had the fortune of writing for Business Insider and Huffington Post in the past. So to make this conversation valuable, I think we need to agree on a core set of facts. In preparation for this presentation, I pulled some data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the numbers weren't surprising, right? Like, it reinforced an important point that many of us knew. Black and brown people just simply aren't represented equitably across a number of key industries. In this presentation, we're not going to talk about all the reasons why, but we can talk about how you can improve your specific situation so that you can help yourself, but also collectively we can move these numbers forward. So a recent report I came across from a reputable think tank is the fact that we're grossly underrepresented in senior leadership and management positions. Black people make up roughly 12% of the US population, but only 3% of senior leadership roles. This creates a huge set of problems that we're going to talk about in a minute. When we actually get into these corporate environments, I think one of the big challenges, things aren't always how we expect them to be, right? How many times have you personally experienced this? They market one thing on their website. When you actually get into the corporate environment, the reality looks really different. And that could be a jarring experience for many. So as I mentioned before, like representation really matters. Problems stem when we don't have these representation across key industries and leadership roles, right? It makes it really harder to eliminate and minimize biases throughout corporate processes. it's harder for underrepresented employees to find mentors and sponsors to help pull them up. And I think arguably for the broader organization, it's important because it actually makes it much harder to build a set of diverse products and services for a broad audience if the people who are making these products don't look like the user base. Okay, so now that we've kind of grounded ourselves in some of the facts, the unfortunate facts, let's talk about how you should think about your career and the way you can kind of frame your journey in a way that's going to provide a helpful map. I want to start with a great quote, or at least a quote I perceive as pretty helpful, from Angela Benton, who's an influential and, in my opinion, a dynamite entrepreneur. I'll give you a quick moment to read this quote. A key takeaway here is to ignore all the distractions that go on as you're on your journey and focus solely on your goals, your intent, and your reasons why. So another way to think about your career is to frame it as a journey, right? It's nonlinear. This drawing, I think, does a really good job of actually illustrating how your career likely will go. It definitely represents sort of my experience, and I have hopefully many more years, in the workplace. And there will be surprises, both good and bad, right? You may deviate off course once, twice, 3 times. All of that is okay, right? This is a nonlinear path, and you're going to learn lessons along the way. So appreciate it, recognize it, and accept it. Let's talk through a few important terms that are often conflated, right? Career growth, career development. Like, what do those things actually mean? At least from my vantage point, career growth is actually more about setting and reaching goals of where you want to be in a given, company, field, whatever it may be. Career development, on the other hand, is actually about gaining those skills, the ideas, the experiences you want. That's going to help you accomplish multiple goals along the path. So when you think about your experience, don't look at it solely as career growth. How do I get from point A to point B? Think about it as, how do I get these experiences that I need? And to build on that conversation, maybe we can kind of broaden the term, right? Most people actually think of career growth as a traditional ladder, right? With things like title and pay. This is actually an outdated model. A career lattice might be a better representation of this, and it's actually a more prevalent path for a lot of people in the workplace. It represents the various ways that you can move in your job or your role and help you progress toward your career. It's a good way to visualize what does a path look like across a given organization or industry. The example here is actually in a sales capacity where instead of just moving up the ladder, you actually weave your way through a core set of experiences. And I think it allows you to gain skills and learn new things as you manage maybe different customer types and you get various responsibilities under your belt, all of which directionally will get you closer to where you want to be. As you think about your career, I think the best thing you could do is focus on delivering strong results. Without that, everything is that much more difficult. In my opinion, this slide is one of the more important ones, right? It recognizes when you create meaningful impact in your company, it will unlock a whole set of things that's going to allow you to create more successful paths. Now, everybody is going to have a different set of impact and value criteria in their organization. Here's a list of a few. As an example, if you're in a leadership or a sales or management capacity, it could be revenue-related goals or impact metrics. If you're in a customer support type function, maybe CSAT or the number of cases resolved might be a more relevant or pertinent impact metric. If you're in program or project management, maybe it's the number of projects you've completed. So here are a core set of examples. I think what's most important is that you identify and understand what those success criteria look like in your given organization by talking with your leadership team, understanding what are the things they expect of you. Once you've understood that, then obviously it's performing against that. It's executing. It's doing all the things that you know to be true and critical to your experience and your journey. What's really, really important here is once you've actually done those things, you have to document that. You have to share it with your leader, your leader's leader, whoever you have in your executive chain that you can ensure you're demonstrating real value.